San Mateo County Planning Commission meeting of April 12, 2023 will please come to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with justice for all. Please be seated. Janet, may we have the roll call, please?
Commissioner Hanson,
Here.
Commissioner Ramirez,
Here.
Commissioner Ketchum,
Here.
Commissioner Serrano Kwan,
Here.
Chair Gupta,
Here.
and staff is represented by Fox, Montes, and Segura.
Next, we have the oral communications. At this time, public is invited to speak on any matter that's not on today's agenda. Each speaker is limited to 5 minutes. Janet, could you please explain the process?
For those attending the meeting on the Zoom video conference, we will use the raised hand feature in order to organize any public comments. During the general public comment period, and for each item on the regular agenda, I will ask those members of the public who wish to comment to click the raised hand feature to raise your hand to speak on that agenda item. For those joining by phone, please press *9 to indicate your desire to speak. When you hear your name called, I'll prompt you to unmute your account and you may begin speaking. And like you mentioned, Chair mentioned, we have 5 minutes on the clock. That's it.
Do we have any speakers?
None,
Any online, remotely?
none.
None. So since we have no speakers, so I would close the public hearing at this time. We move on to the consent agenda. Is there, do I have a motion to approve the minutes of Planning Commission meeting of March 22nd? So move.
Second.
Janet, roll call, please.
Commissioner Hanson,
Here. Yeah, aye.
Commissioner Ramirez,
Aye.
Commissioner Ketchum,
Aye.
Commissioner Serrano Kwan,
Aye.
Chair Gupta.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passed.
Next is our regular agenda, item 2 on the regular agenda. Janet, please read the item in the record.
We have owner Amanda Singh, applicant Chong S. Lim, file number PLN 2021-00282. The location is 0 Bernal and Alvarado Avenue in Moss Beach. And our planner today is Sonal. She'll be presenting today.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Good morning, planning commissioners, members of the public and staff. My name is Sonal Agrawal, planner 3 with the Planning and Building Division, and I will be presenting item number 2, PLN 2021-00282 this morning. So the item before you is a consideration of design review, non-conforming use permit, coastal development permit to allow construction of a new 1,085 square feet, 2-story single-family residence. The non-conforming use permit is required to allow development of a significantly non-conforming parcel, 2,500 square feet, where minimum required is 20,000 square feet, and to allow for 1 covered parking space where 2 covered spaces are required, and to allow for a side setback of 5 feet where 10 feet is required. As I mentioned, the lot size is 2,500 square feet. It's a legal non-conforming parcel with a COCB recorded under PLN 2010-00300. The zoning of the parcel is R1 S105 DR GHCD. The site is located in Zone 3 of the Geological Hazard Map, which is one of the most stable maps of the Seal Cove area. As a stable area of the Seal Cove area, the geological report was prepared and submitted. It was peer reviewed and approved by the county geotechnical engineer. So why is this use permit required? As I mentioned before, the lot is 2,500 square feet and the minimum required for this area is 20,000 square feet. So it's a significantly non-conforming parcel. And as per section 6133.3b, it requires a use permit to develop these kinds of parcel. Also for the reduced side setback of 5 feet, whereas 10 feet is the minimum required, and 1 covered parking space where 2 minimum covered spaces are required. So the location of this lot is in Moss Beach. Here is the map showing the location of the property, which is approximately 500 feet from the coastal bluff. This map basically shows the vertical and lateral access to the site. So this lot was originally created in 1908 through a subdivision, and it remained like that since then. Applicant had tried to purchase the adjacent land, but was not successful because it was not for sale. And most of the lots in this area must have been merged, but this lot remained as a 2,500 square feet lot because it was not being able to merge with any of the adjacent lots. Here is the site plan of the property. The driveway entrance will be provided from Alvarado Avenue. The lot dimensions are 25 feet by 100, which makes a 2,500 square feet lot. The first floor will have a small living space, 1 garage, and laundry and kitchen. Moving to the second floor, there will be 2 bedrooms and 2 balconies facing Alvarado Avenue. This project went to 2 design review meetings. One happened on October 13, 2022, another one on January 12, 2023. And it was recommended for approval by the design review committee based on certain changes which were related to roof design, texture, and color of the house. Here are the front and rear elevation of the house, which shows white trim, black railing, and dark entrance doors. Here is the north side elevation, which will be visible from Alvarado Avenue. The board and batten was a suggestion that was made by the design review committee during the design review meetings to basically break the massing and also make the house visually appear less high. Here's the south elevation, which will be visible from Ocean Boulevard. Here are a few renderings of the house from each side. So as I mentioned, the house complies with most of the zoning regulation other than site setback, minimum parking spaces, lot size, and average lot width. It complies with floor area, lot coverage, height, and front and rear setback. It complies with general plan, local coastal program, zoning regulation, and design review regulations. And findings can be made for the coastal development permit, design review permit, and non-conforming use permit. The findings are also attached in the staff report. During the design review process, staff has received comments from several neighbors in the neighborhood, and most of the concerns were related to house looking too massive, concerns for developing a non-conforming lot, lack of parking on the street, tiny home, too many developments in the neighborhood. So staff looked into some of these criteria to figure out if county has approved any lot which are around the same size. And I was able to find 3 properties. One is 494 Palmer Street in El Granada, which is approximately 2,500 square feet lot, approved in 2005. Another one was 1230 Main Street, which was approximately 3,500 square feet lot, which was also approved through a design review, CDP and use permit, approved in 2014. And the third one was in Montara, approved in 2014, which was also approximately 3,000 square feet lot. So during the design review process, as I mentioned, the roof design was changed to basically make the house appear less tall. Vertical siding was added to break the massing, and colors and materials were changed to break to make the appearance less tall as well. The project is exempt from CEQA as per section 15303 class A, relating to construction of a single family in an urban residential zone. Staff recommends that the Planning Commission approve the coastal development permit, design review permit, non-conforming use permit for file number PLN 2021-00282, subject to attached findings and findings in the staff report. So this concludes my presentation, and I'll be happy to take any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Sona. Would commissioners have questions? Commissioner Ketchum?
Thank you for your report. Very thorough. You listed 3 parcels that had of a similar size that had been developed. Do you know if those were single story or double 2-story?
I haven't inquired that much, but I can look into that.
Well, I'm familiar with the one in Montara, which had been proposed as a 2-story house, and it was denied on appeal to the Board of Supervisors. And then they came back some years later with a 1-story version, and that one was approved. I'm unfamiliar with the ones in El Granada as to the height. I know this commission did review some very small parcels in El Granada, which had come in at 2 stories, ended up as 1 story. Both were built as 1 story. And this parcel itself was proposed for a house previously denied at design, which was 2-story. And that it was the same issues of this extreme shape, all that. And and also I saw the correspondence in the back of the staff report, and there were I counted 9 neighbors, all opposed to the project. And there was a current letter as well. So, that kind of made me take a second look. I mean, it was clear they'd worked on it to try and make it look as good as they can. But so I have a question. Do you know, or does anybody know when we have these 1908 subdivisions that were laid out, railroad speculators and whatnot, and they were all this size. And clearly since then, most of the residential neighborhoods are now at least 5,000 square feet, double the width of this one. But this neighborhood, the geological hazard neighborhood, was revised to the 20,000 square foot parcels in order to provide flexibility to locate a development on the parcel in case of a fault trace there. Then they would have alternatives to locate the house. Do you know when that zoning change occurred? How long ago that was? I mean, clearly there are, as you look at the aerial view with parcel lines and which is developed already, clearly there's a number of the larger lots with the homes, some of them spaced at an angle, obviously because of some fault trace. And I think there's also one currently in the planning queue where they have discovered a fault trace and they're looking like they're not going to be able to develop that lot. It's not a small lot, but so I'm just wondering, and also in the fact, as you look at the map, you see there's a substantial number of lots not yet developed, and more of these tiny ones. And it's like, what is this going to look like when it's built out? I mean, there seems to be it seems to be, this is the road we have to take. So you have anything to offer?
I'd have to confirm, but my guess is that the the requirement for the 20,000 square foot lot size was established in conjunction with the adoption of our local coastal program.
Oh,
That's
it's 20.
just a hunch. I'd have to go back to confirm that.
Oh, back to the 80s.
Yes,
Oh, okay.
yes. I know
makes
that
sense.
that was the Coastal Commission took a close look at this area and the geologic hazards. And that requirement applies to the creation of new lots, but where we have legal lots of record where there's not an ability to increase the size, you know, we're stuck in a situation where we need to accommodate a reasonable economic use of the site. And as long as that's done in a manner that's as consistent with the LCP as possible, then we have an obligation to allow for that.
It's, yeah, so this is my hesitation. It seems as though the subdivider long ago had an entirely different type of house in mind for these parcels. So I see anything else. Well, that's enough for me for now.
Commissioner Hanson.
Good morning.
Good morning.
The neighborhood has some fairly large homes in it. Based on how things evolved over time when we merged lots and things like that. And now we're people who want to take advantage of being able to build on their small lots. How many small, this is only 1,000 square feet. You know, how many small, tiny homes are in this area? I didn't see many.
Yeah, so I looked on GIS. There seem to be some lots available of this size, but I'm not sure if those are developed. My assumption is this may be the first few of such cases for this neighborhood. But yeah, I have to check with GIS and maybe do more research in SLR to figure out if we have any application submitted for those lots or not in the past. I know that for this particular lot, there was a design review application submitted for a single family sometime in 2011. And that was pulled back because of the design review changes that was recommended for that house. And at that time, the neighborhood had concerns that the house was too small. It was only a 625 square feet house, single story. So now the house size is bigger and it's a 2-story house.
Considering the maximization of the lot for the house and stuff like that, there's really no chance for an ADU. Is that true?
Any lot can have still have a 800 square feet of ADU above their maximum floor area and lot coverage if the lot allows. Because this is a very small lot and they're already utilizing whatever is left. It's just a very small 15 by some square feet of coverage that they are trying to build.
Mhm.
So it will be challenging to see how an ADU could fit into this lot, but by right, they are allowed to have an 800
By
square feet.
lot, right, but the practicabilities, it's be extremely challenging.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you for your answers.
Commissioner Serrano Kwan,
I have no questions.
Commissioner Ramirez.
Does this qualified for a lot retirement or where are we with that in general? Yeah.
Yes, this to orient the commissioners who might not be familiar with that term, as part of our Mid-Coast Local Coastal Program update, there was a modification made by the California Coastal Commission that required us to consider lot retirement as a potential program for future implementation. That has not been identified as a feasible program for us to implement at this point in time. So there is no such program currently in place. That being said, as you heard in the presentation, we continue to encourage the owners of these small lots to pursue every opportunity that's available to acquire adjacent vacant parcels. But when those are not available, then that's where our ability to, require additional lot size ends.
Is there anything in the plans to actually implement sometime in the future? A lot retirement?
I think it's continues to be a possibility. One of the things that would need to happen in conjunction with such a plan is we would need to designate the areas that would be subject to retirement, because I think what we would want to avoid is a program that resulted in a patchwork of vacant lots that are within infill areas that could be developed, but instead become weed patches, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
So we would want the retirement to result in a cumulative benefit, be it avoiding developing in sensitive or hazardous areas. The designation of such areas and who would assume responsibility for the management of retired lots is, features of such a program that have yet to be developed.
Okay, yeah, because we keep running into this problem where we have the requirements that are much larger lots is required, and we end up with quite a few of these things that are still left out there. All right, thank you.
So on one of your foils on your presentation, it seems there are several such size lots in this area. Is that correct? Or am I looking at an old
Are you talking about the subdivision map that was shared in the staff report?
Right, correct. Yeah, it's page 7 or something. Yes.
So the subdivision map is just showing the lots as they were created in 1908. The actual lot configurations may be different from
They
what
have changed
they have
since
changed,
then.
yeah. For a lot of lots, but not for this lot.
Okay, but there are other lots that are same size in this subdivision?
I'll have to confirm that, but my understanding just by looking at the GIS, I was able to see some similar size lots, but I do have to probably confirm that with GIS layer.
Okay.
I think it's fair to confirm that this is what we would often refer to as an antiquated subdivision, a subdivision that was created before the current requirements, and the way in which the size of the parcels have evolved largely relates to ownership. I think in the past, it's been the desire of the folks who build homes in this area to acquire many lots, so they have a larger lot and have more flexibility. And that's the direction that our local coastal program points to. But where there are remnant small lots that are available on the private market, then that's why we see situations like this, where these lots that were created long ago at a size that we wouldn't allow to be created today are proposed for development.
Okay. So is there a lot or a parcel next to it, which is also being considered for development? Did I understand that correctly?
So the lot just adjacent to this lot was
Right.
Like the owner tried to acquire that lot to merge it with their lot and make it a 5,000 square feet lot, but that lot was not up for sale, and we don't have currently any plans or for development on that particular lot.
So nothing has been applied for,
Not for my knowledge.
but that is a similar size lot.
Yes.
So we know that there's at least one more parcel of the same size in that subdivision.
Yes.
Okay. And in that subdivision, do we have any similar size parcels which are developed with homes? Do we know? No?
Yeah, I'm not sure about that.
Okay, okay, that's all I have at this time. So is the applicant here? Would like to speak?
Yeah, hi. I'm actually remote. Sorry, I'm traveling for work. Could not be there in person.
Oh, okay, okay. All right. So would you like to, you have 15 minutes if you would like to speak about the project?
Sure. So my name is Amandeep Singh. I go by Andy. I'm traveling this week, so that's the reason I'm not there in person. We are a family of 4. My wife's name is Pinky, and I have a 15-year-old son and a 16-year-old daughter. And we currently live in San Jose. I'm an IT engineer by trade, and my wife's a part-time nurse. And my wife's and I've been looking for moving to Half Moon Bay area for a few years now. And looking around the area, we really like the Moss Beach area for its beauty and small town feel. We were delighted when this lot came available in this neighborhood. So we're thinking to build a small, 2-bedroom, 2 baths home here that we can eventually move into and settle into this neighborhood. I feel that we would fit in well. We're a small family. We, enjoy our alone time. We enjoy outdoors, and we believe in being, respectful of the neighborhood, friendly and helpful neighbors. I realize that this is a non-standard lot, but I did, as it was mentioned, I did try to purchase the adjacent lot so we can, double the size, but the owner was not interested in selling. And we worked with the design review committee, took all their recommendations and came up with the design that was approved by them. And I personally feel, smaller homes, smaller footprint is the way to go instead of building large homes, help with the housing shortage, et cetera, and, smaller carbon footprint as well. So it's my hope that you would allow this project to move forward, and I would really appreciate your approval to build on this lot. That's it.
Thank you. Questions for the owner, Commissioner Ketchum?
Not
Can you tell us a little bit about the neighborhood? There's some of the questions that we would like to know is in the neighborhood, are there other homes of similar size on similar lots?
No, there aren't any other ones that are this size. There's a couple of new ones that are being developed. I mean, they're all bigger than this one because the lots are bigger. But there are a couple lots, my lot, the one adjacent to it. I'm not sure if there's any other ones that are 2,500 square foot. So there's a potential for a few more if this one was to go through.
Okay. If I may ask, how long have you owned this lot?
This lot, about a couple years. We bought it, then started the process of getting things approved or getting in front of the design review committee, and had to, go through and get the things approved, soil reports and all that stuff. So it's been in the works for a few years.
Okay, thank you. So at this time, we'd like to open up for public speakers. Janet,
Yes.
could you please explain the
Certainly.
process, how they can participate?
So once again, if you're calling by phone, please press *9 to indicate your desire to speak. I'll go ahead and call your name and you can begin speaking at that time. Right now, we do have one hand raised, Kate Broderick. Kate, please unmute your microphone and you may begin speaking.
Hi, thank you so much. My name is Kate and I live at 46 Persida Avenue in Moss Beach in this neighborhood. I have a few concerns and I've already voiced them to Sunil. First concern I have is that the design of the home doesn't really match the current surroundings of our neighborhood. It's a really small lot, as you all have mentioned, that's with a really tall and skinny home. It kind of looks more like a home you would see in Daly City rather than a home in the Seal Cove neighborhood of Moss Beach. I know that Sunil mentioned a number of other examples of homes that were built on similar lots in El Granada and Montera for non-conforming homes with similar sized lots, but Moss Beach Seal Cove neighborhood where this house is being proposed is substantially different than Montera and El Granada. For example, we only have one entrance and exit from Airport Road, almost Bonos, and the homes are substantially bigger. And there are no tiny homes like this in our neighborhood currently. The other reason is this location of the lot is right at the trailhead of the Moss Beach Bluff. And over the past 5 years, there have been, I think, at least 7 homes built on Burnell and Ocean, all in 1 or 2 blocks of the entrance of the trailhead. This construction has forced a lot of daily visitors to park on the street of where this house is being proposed on Alvarado and Burnell. And considering it was already a small city street with parked cars, it's gotten incredibly crowded, especially at peak hours. And the county hasn't dedicated any parking space to the daily visitors that we have. Yeah, as I mentioned, there have been a lot of construction in our small neighborhood in these past 3 years, with also no improvement to our streets. We currently only have that one exit that I mentioned off of Los Banos, and we also had another a street, Ocean Boulevard, that we could use to get to Los Banos, but San Lucas has just been shut down in this past month due to erosion. The county hasn't dedicated any additional exit or entrance for this neighborhood. So we are losing streets as we speak and still only have one entrance and exit, and homes are continually being approved to be built. It's a total lack of infrastructure with way too much construction, road deterioration with no emergency access. It's really frustrating and a little bit scary. I'm mainly concerned that the current park access and the safety of this community and the design doesn't match the surroundings. Lastly, I just want to say this is nothing against Andy and Pinky and their kids. I really do hope that they find a way to build their dream home in our neighborhood. I know a lot of people would welcome them and we're excited if they could move into the neighborhood. We just don't want it on this non-conforming lot with a house that wouldn't even match the surroundings, and with the lack of support that the county has already shown to this neighborhood as not building a dedicated space for people accessing a very popular trail and not adding any additional exits or entrances into the neighborhood. That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now call on Barry at 75 Persida Avenue. Please unmute your microphone and begin speaking when you're ready.
Hello, I live at 75 Persida, and our parcel is the only conforming 20,000 square foot parcel in the neighborhood that I'm aware of. And we are in support of this what I call skinny house. I think it's about time that we stop building these large mansion houses and have a smaller house in the neighborhood. It'll help with the county housing deficit. And I look forward to having this house there. I like the design, and I'd hate to see the owners not be able to use their legal lot. There is another small lot in the neighborhood, just about 4,000 square feet, that got approval. So that's a really non-conforming lot too. Anyway, that's all I have to say. Please approve this project. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I do not see any more hands raised for this item, and if anybody is here in the chambers that wants to speak, please let us know. Oh, hold on a second. I think I noticed someone raised their hand just a second ago. Yeah, no hands raised, Chair.
Okay, so
Sorry, one more time. There is a.
Mr. Maxwell
Uh-huh,
has raised.
yeah. Okay, go ahead and unmute your microphone and begin speaking, please.
Hello?
We can hear you. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, thank you. I'm trying to get to my notes here. Give me a second. I gotta leave the full screen. Oh, here we go. Okay, sorry about that. Most of the things that I'd like to, I'm at 65 Burnell Avenue, have been here since 1984. I built my budding bride and I built a house on a 5,000 square foot lot, which was traditional for that. At that time, they allowed variances. We were called, I think, S15 zoning at that time. And I've since bought the property next door so that I could expand, and we updated our house in 2005, and I'm right across the street from this project. The project location on Alvarado is on a paper street. And I'm sure, as many of you know, the paper street means the county doesn't maintain it. And the nearby street, in fact, the one that Barry's on, one of the streets that Barry's on, he's on a corner, is a mud pit right now because the county doesn't maintain it. And so with the issues that Kate said, that, it's all the access in here is difficult, and also that the cliffs eroding, and some of the obviously some of the power and streets are going to get knocked down over time. I don't think it's really a good idea to expand, increase the density out here. I mean, this is really, without county services, it's very difficult for people to maintain them. There's no parking either. The thing I'm most worried about is that if we allow all these small houses that kind of circumvent the local design reviews, and they don't comply with the regulations, it's going to be a boon for builders. And the projects like these small lots allow for the lowest building costs and a high sale price on this desirable coastal location. And it's really not affordable housing. And, these lots are going to be coming in demand now because people realize they can get them through. And the planning process will be difficult because we're going to go through these kinds of hearings every time. So I think the county has been doing for 40 years, allowing the 5,000 square foot lots. Many houses have been infilling with only minor changes on variances. And this one just represents a big change to the community and to the permitting process. And that's pretty much all I have to say.
thank you.
Thank you. And I do see Chong Lim, he's an applicant.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I would like to remind Tim that my client, Andy Singh, he's not a developer. He's a small family that find this place appealing and he's going to live there. So he's concerned about him being a developer, it's not relevant here. And that's the only one point I like to make. And being a small family, I don't think that, there's only one increase in the traffic and he has his own covered garage that he's going to park in. So all the concern about parking spaces and accessibility into the site, I don't think that's relevant either. That's the only point I want to make. That's it.
Thank you. Do we have any other speakers?
We have Kate Broderick again. She is raising her hand to speak, and we already, I think, heard from her earlier.
We have already heard
Yeah.
from her.
And with that, there are no more hands raised.
Okay, so with no more speakers, at this time, I would like to close the public hearing. We can still talk to the applicant at this point. Okay, so would applicant like to, can they address any of the yeah, if you would like to respond to any of the concerns that some of the public speakers brought up, I think Mr. Lim already did.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate all the comments. It's I know it's their neighborhood and they want to see certain things there, but there's as my architect said, it's a small home. There's not going to increase a lot more traffic of a footprint. There's we have a garage where we can park the car, so public parking, it's not going to increase by that much, if any. So I mean, it's a small footprint house. I don't think it's gonna add that much congestion or anything like that. So we'd really appreciate if the project was approved.
Any commissioners have questions for the owner? No. Okay. Would you like to
I would just
respond?
note with regard to concerns about the lack of county maintenance of the roads. We have a number of communities on the coast side where as part of the subdivision, the roads were offered to the county, and the county standard requirement is that they need to be improved to meet county standards in order for the county to accept responsibility for maintenance. There are many of these subdivisions proceeded without making those improvements to the roads, and people who purchase properties in these neighborhoods are made aware that the road, or they should be aware that the roads are not maintained by the county, so they have a shared interest in maintaining the roads themselves. With regard to concerns about kind of the cumulative impacts of developing small lots, I think it's important for the commission to remember that we do have a growth limit on the mid-coast. It's we do not issue more than 40 building permits per year for new residences. So I think the idea that the construction of this home will result in cumulative impacts to the neighborhood is not really a valid concern.
Thank you, Steve. So at this time, thank you, Mr. Singh and Mr. Lim. Okay. I'll open it up for commissioners' deliberation. So go ahead, Commissioner Ketchum.
Okay. We talked previously about the house that was previously applied for at this location and was denied at design review. That was a 2-story house. And the issue, because I was involved, I was already on the Mid-Coast Council then, and the issue was, this the height adding to the unusual shape that, you know, a small house, 1 story wouldn't be this narrow width would anyway. And then, as I said again, the house in Montera that was actually a little wider than this one that was denied as a 2-story, later approved as a 1-story. So, and I think this is, that focus is on, you know, you try to create a neighborhood, you try to set up the zoning regulations so that you have a neighborhood that blends well together. And, you know, and we often see projects come to us where an older home was built before regulations and they're 3 feet off the street. And that's a given that and a lot of other houses in there may look that way. And so that's okay. But this neighborhood is largely undeveloped. And so we're setting a precedent. I'm not saying this is about the setbacks, but we're setting a precedent with this, that the 2,500s, this 25-foot frontage, this is the issue, is okay, that you can build a house this shape in this context. And therefore the next lot, which is exactly the same size, this has set the precedent and that's going to be approved. And there's no motivation to merge these lots, you know, whereas you look in this situation, you've even got these 2 undeveloped lots right next to, you could make this into a 50-foot frontage. And I just, I'm not opposed to small homes. I think we need to have more small homes, you know, and it is unfortunate, even if lots are big, they're still maxed out, whatever is built there. And there's an opportunity for small home. It's just that I guess over time, lately, it's become what size home does anyone need has gotten bigger than it used to be. And I live nearby this neighborhood on the other side of the park, and I live in a mobile home park, and my lot's bigger than this. And my home is 20 feet wide. It could have been even wider, but it's like, but it blends with the neighborhood. There are no 2-story homes, they're single story, it fits in. And so, you know, and I said, look at this house and done a nice job with the exterior to make it as good as they can and organize their windows, and they're on the corner. So they have the one side, they're not crammed in, but the side that's next to the next tiny lot, you can see the way it's built. It's expecting to be facing a solid wall of another house just like this, only a few feet away. And that I just don't think, I can understand why the neighbors would be concerned about this whole different scale, that's the word. We're looking at development. Is it in scale with the lot? And is it in scale with the neighborhood? And so this is a shortcoming, and I'm not saying this is a fatal flaw. These are just my concerns. And I guess drilling in a little deeper, I see, you know, the exception for only 1 covered parking space. I mean, even in this situation, I would say to get more indoor space, no covered parking. It looks like there's 2 outside parking spaces in the way the driveway is located. That could be the parking. Then you have space where that garage is. I'm looking, actually, I'd be looking at some way to make this a 1-story house with a pitch, you know, but I don't know. And I would also predict that looking at the plans that the garage inevitably will not be a garage. It could even be an ADU, or it could be whatever. It's just, I don't want to go into that, but yeah, it's just far from perfect. Anyway, that's all I have to say. Thanks. Sorry, one more thing. The parking, the beach park, not the beach, the trail parking that, so they did add some more streets in the back when Ocean Boulevard was closed partly. And when they installed them, and I understand the pavement is quite narrow, and there's the retention pond, all this, you know, the latest technology about stormwater runoff is there, but that precludes any street parking. So it's a lot of that in the neighborhood. And then County Parks has no off-street parking. And so, yeah, the streets are narrow, the shoulders are muddy. Maybe there's an opportunity for, this is not this project per se, but maybe there's an opportunity. County Parks has enough space on that side to create some off-street parking to help alleviate this. Okay, now I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Hanson.
You had some very good comments, and as far as I'm concerned, very valid comments. But some things I will disagree with you. My biggest real concern really is the emergency access. You know, if something goes wrong with this thing, this little community with that road, we got a lot of people trapped, you know, and we know over time, every lot in there will be developed. And, you know, we need to start thinking now, if we lose that road, how do we get people out of there? But that's not this project's concern, but is to me the biggest concern there is in this area. The cars to me are not a tipping point because of ADUs that will be allowed, that we have no jurisdiction over. The amount of cars in here, not immediately, but over time is going to double, whether this lot is developed or not. Most cars are planning for me is the number of bedrooms. You increase the number of bedrooms, you get to increase the number of cars. The laws are written basically, you know, figuring that you only will max out with 2 cars in a normal neighborhood. But those standards really were based on 1950 projections. This is a tiny house, and I like tiny houses. I live in a house that is really designed for a bigger family than I am, you know, because of my age. You know, I should be downsizing, but anything I want to move to is big. You know, people have taken their tiny houses, and because there was so much land and stuff, they added on. I don't need 4 bedrooms. I don't need 4 bathrooms. You know, it's just my wife and I. The opportunities to make this any larger, to me, I see is very minimal. And so in one sense, I like that. Most of the houses in this neighborhood are already 2 stories. So being a 1-story house is that is well designed will fit into the ultimate outcome of this neighborhood, unless designs change and rules change. It will, to me, it will fit in. So that is not a worry. The house next to it is a worry, future house, because putting the garage right in the front, and that will be a challenge. But that's not their worry. I really wish we had an opportunity to cap housing on the coast side. I think we've really, because of infrastructure demands that are currently there, plus what we need to make things achieve our goals, like greenhouse gases and transportation and stuff. I really worry, but this is not the tipping point of that house. So I'll listen to my other commissioners, but I will so far in support of this.
Thank you. Commissioner Serrano-Kwan.
All valid points, and it's a really tough one because it does appear that the home is not in the same character as the other homes around in the neighborhood. But I too really support the addition of a home in this area, and as well as the design and the thought process behind the home and support the staff's recommendation. So
Commissioner Ramirez?
I've been waiting for a while for the tools that we can have to force lot mergers, but we don't have that at this time. So from my perspective, this is a legal lot. And the owner has the right to a reasonable economic use of what he has. All your concerns, I think, are legitimate, but to me, it's like we have our hands tied until we get something that we can force the merger of some of these lots. Hopefully it comes soon so that we can start dealing with that. But at this time, I don't see how this person cannot, develop his plans. And I think that the design of this house, it went through the design review process. And I think that, it got approved by the CDRC. And that to me, it's important. So with that, I am going to support the project.
I like the design and the size of this project. And since at least what I see in the report, since all that subdivision is kind of open at this time, it looks like it's going to block everything, and it's the first one that's sticking up there. So it appears that way, but very soon, just like Commissioner Hansen also mentioned, pretty soon this is going to be all built up there, and it's not going to be something that's going to stand out, because there are other homes in the neighborhood which are two-story homes there, and it fits the size. It's a good size, not overly sized for the lot size. It meets the design review standards. The area is stable. So I'm in support of the project. So do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion here. I'll move that the Plan Commission approve the design review permit, the coastal development permit, and the non-conforming use permit for the county file number 2021-00282 by making the required findings and adopting the conditions of approval listed in attachment A.
May I make just one brief comment before we vote?
Go
I
ahead.
just want to reply what you mentioned the lot merger program, and it's my understanding that that was always intended for lots in common ownership to be required to merge them, and that was abandoned and left out of Connect Coast side as on for whatever reason. I just wanted to let you know it's not coming back. That's my understanding.
Okay.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Hansen,
Aye.
Commissioner Ramirez,
Aye.
Commissioner Serrano Kwan,
I
Commissioner Ketchum,
Aye.
Chair Gupta.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passed.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
May I request a bathroom break, maybe? Please.
Sure, we'll take a 5-minute break. We'll be back 10:05.
Yep.
Yes, okay.
Thank you.
The use permit, the planning commission has defined that the proposed development is as nearly in conformance with the zoning regulations currently in effect as is reasonably possible. And instead of reading all that, I'll bring you back to this slide. You can see that on the left of the highlighted parcel, there is a driveway access corridor to kind of a unconventionally shaped flag lot, but still a flag lot. So acquisition of a parcel to the left wouldn't be feasible due to acquisition of an access corridor. And then acquisition of the parcel to the right, there is a large masonry wall with a fence on top of it at the shared property line. And I described in my staff report that that would not increase really the feasible use of the land. Also, the neighboring owner has made significant investments in improving that portion of his property. And then also the parcel to the north, which adjoins the parcel, has a planning permit application for development, of which staff is asking for a bio report, which has not been submitted. So that application is still incomplete. And that is because that parcel adjoins Hermosa Road, which could have some biological resources and is also much closer to the wetland delineated on that larger parcel to the northwest that I had described earlier. But I have to say that it's pretty much some very similar terrain as the septic parcel. So I don't know whether biological resources will be found on that parcel, adjoining parcel to the north, but we have requested for a bio report. So with that, staff recommends that the planning commission approve the design review permit, coastal development permit, and non-conforming use permit and grading permit. County file number PLN 2021-00101 by making the required findings and adopting the conditions of approval listed in attachment A. The applicant, Paul McGregor, is here for any questions and staff is available. Thanks.
Thank you, Camille. Good presentation. Commissioner Ketchum, questions?
No questions, thank you.
Commissioner Hanson?
Good morning, Camille. On the second floor, over the garage, there's a little bump out. Next one. Yes, see on the far right, between the two windows, there's a bump out.
Yes.
What is that?
That's fireplace. Mr. McGregor is probably a better person to answer some of those specific design questions, but he says it's a fireplace.
So,
I'm assuming it's not wood burning.
If you have any further questions.
I don't have any further questions. So thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Serrano Kwan,
No question for me.
Commissioner Ramirez.
No questions.
I don't have any question either. So applicant would like to speak at this time?
I don't know.
Who's
The applicant, I think it can come to the
no,
mic. here.
No, there's nobody online.
nobody online. So,
The applicant wanna
so. Yeah, go ahead.
Just kidding.
Haha.
Good morning, and I want to thank staff and the DRC committee for making this happen. They made some really good recommendations, and with the current status of housing shortage, I believe the ADU is a good fit for this particular property. This is the last house on the end of the street here, and it doesn't affect the upper views. It doesn't affect anybody's lower views. I cut into the hillside to keep it down low and stay under the height limit of 28 feet. I think I'm at 24/7. I think it'll fit well in the neighborhood. It's really not a bad house and all the input that everybody put in has made this a better design. And I appreciate that. Any questions?
Commissioner Ketchum, Commissioner Hanson.
And do you know what the bump out is?
Say again?
What the,
Oh, it's a fireplace.
oh, fire, okay,
It's for a little more articulation.
thank you.
Well,
Is that it?
That's it.
Commissioner?
No questions
No.
here.
No questions, so. Right. Oh, okay, it's gone. Could you please state your name? Are you Mr. McGregor?
Paul McGregor,
Paul McGregor.
19480 Cabrillo Highway, San Gregorio.
Okay.
And I've been on the coast side for 40+ years, building houses from Pacifica down to Santa Cruz.
Thank you. I think we have seen your projects before,
Yes.
right?
Last time,
With
when you guys reopened.
right, with very good reviews from your neighbors.
And these neighbors like me too.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
So I would like to open it up for any publics who would like to make any comments.
Now opening it up for public comment on item number 3. I do not see anybody online with their hands raised, and if there's anybody in chambers, please go ahead and let us know. Seeing none.
None. Okay, so seeing none, we close the public hearing at this time. Open it up for commissioners' deliberations.
I think it's a well-designed house. I like how it looks. I like how it flows and how it functions.
Commissioner.
I figure it fits into the neighborhood and I'm amenable for approval.
Commissioner Ketchum,
I'm ready to approve.
Commissioner Serrano,
No questions. Ready.
Commissioner Ramirez.
Yeah, just to say that it is a good design and I'm also ready to approve.
So do I have a motion?
I move that we approve the design review permit, coastal development permit, and non-conforming use permit and grading permit, county file number PLN 2021-00101 by making the required findings and adopting the conditions of approval listed in attachment A of the staff report.
I will second that.
Commissioner Hanson,
Aye.
Commissioner Ramirez,
Aye.
Commissioner Ketchum,
Aye.
Commissioner Serrano Juan,
Aye.
Chair Gupta.
Aye.
Thank you. Item passes.
Thank you. Thank you all, and project is approved. So we move on to item 4. Janet, please read that into the record.
Item number 4. Owner James Baker, applicant James Thompson. File number PLN 2016-00515. Location 900 Seaside School Road in San Gregorio. And our project planner this morning is Olivia Boo.
Good morning, Commissioners. Olivia Gu, project planner. I'd like to go over the project scope, describe the property, existing property, and including and then go over the project compliance site photos. So before you today is a coastal development permit, a planned agricultural permit, and grading permit for proposing a new 2-story single-family residence with an unfinished basement This residence will replace a house that previously burned down. And there's new fire turnaround requirements, new septic system, and then a domestic well proposed. And also noted is there's 345 cubic yards of grading that is required for the unfinished, for the basement for the single family dwelling. And there's no tree removal. The next slides are photos of the property. There's about five of those slides. There are 3 barns on the property, which are primarily used for storing feed, on-site equipment. Sometimes there's space used to care for the on-site animals as required. The developed area is just under coverage is just under 4 acres of the parcel. This is on the left photo is an existing pool. I'll get to that later, but that is used for agricultural water supply for the property. And this is overall, I wanted to give you an image of the property itself and the surrounding land. For the site plan, I have identified the black arrows to the left are identifying the existing access driveway. The arrow at the bottom is identifying where the previous house that burned down in 2005 where previously existed and where the new house will be constructed. The area to the right for the green area is for arrow is for the proposed fire turnaround. With the construction of the new 2-story house, there is an existing house that is there that is non-permitted by the previous owner, located left of the blue arrow that will be demolished in conjunction as part of this project with the new construction. This image wanted to show you the test wells. So the project currently has an existing spring on site. It is able to supply domestic water for the project, but more specifically, as the applicant had explained during the processing, that it is more equipped volume-wise to support for the winter season and not as much for the dry season. So thus, a domestic well is being proposed. So there are 3 locations that are noted that I have starred. There's one in the upper right corner. And then there's 2 other potential sites towards the bottom center area. And in terms of grazing and compliance, which I will go into in the presentation and it's discussed in the report, I circled in red the grazing areas as the applicant has broken down. These are all the grazing areas. Majority of the property is used for grazing. It's approximately 39 acres. And I wanted to call out the areas where it's located. And in the center of it, of the 4, sorry.
Yeah.
Oh. So sorry, near the bottom 3 circles that I've labeled, in the midst of those is where the structures are clustered, and the remainder of the parcel is designated and used for grazing. And the next two slides are the drawn elevations for the proposed single family house. To give you a history of the chronology, the original house was burned down by fire in 2005. The application was received in 2006, and over the last several years, the applicant has been trying to meet with multiple submittals, trying to meet compliance with the county regulations. And the project was brought before the Agricultural Committee, Advisory Committee in March. And then they did discuss the project, and I'll go to that in a moment. For project compliance, the project complies with the general plan and for soil resources, visual quality, and rural land use. For the local coastal program, locating and planning new development and agriculture. For the zoning district of the planned agricultural district, it does comply with setbacks and the requirements for this district. This grid shows the compliance percent of the specific setbacks. And then for grading, the project also complies with grading. There will be the erosion control plan has been reviewed and is in compliance with requirements. For the Williamson Act, this project has been under contract since 1973. And with the requirement that 75% of the parcel will be used for agricultural, and the project is compliance with this. They have it's over 75%. And this chart shows the compliance, which is also included in the staff report. Again, showing the compliance of a minimum 75%, and this project exceeds that. For the environmental review, this project is exempt in terms of for replacement. It's replacement and construction of an existing structure. And as mentioned for the Agricultural Advisory Committee, they did support and were very much in favor of supporting an agricultural use. At the time, there was discussion that they wanted to reconfirmation, verification that there was an ag management plan, and also the details of the grazing that the project was fulfilling and complying with 75% grazing. It was being utilized. And those are also, so since then, they asked for confirmation, which the applicant did submit recently prior to the hearing. Those are included as attachment E and attachments F in the staff report. And these items were also brought back to the Agricultural Advisory Committee at their last meeting. So they have those they haven't updated those they have those documents to confirm that the project's in compliance. And again, just to reconfirm, sorry, because I was going through just to tie on to the compliance for the Agricultural Committee. We were able to confirm that the project does comply. Staff would like to recommend approval for this project. And that's the end of my presentation. I'm available for any questions.
Thank you, Olivia. No questions. Commissioner Hanson.
I have a design review question. The fireplace, I love the design. What type of rock is being used?
I would have to ask that.
Okay, I shall. Thank you. No questions.
Commissioner Serrano-Kwan,
No questions.
Commissioner Ramirez.
It's probably not relevant, but do we know the reasons for how that previous house burned down?
I don't know the details of that. After my part, more additional.
Okay, we'll ask. No additional
No
questions.
further
Yeah.
I'll ask you, maybe it's more relevant for the applicant is what is the success rate of finding a viable well in that area?
My understanding is, I don't know the details of that, but I do know that the applicants, when they propose, they work with a hydrologist, I believe it is. And they work with them to find out the viability of the water out there. I believe the applicant mentioned that there is a good amount
Okay.
that can be found.
Do you know if it's dependent on, like, we've had so much rain and storms, it may have increased their chances?
I don't know, the applicant. can
Don't
speak to
know.
that.
Okay, okay, thank you. That's all I have. So we'll have the applicant speak at this time. Please, please state your name and you have 15 minutes.
Honorable Commissioners, my name is James Thompson. And I'm the applicant representing the owner, James Baker, who's in the audience as well. And for the most part, the entire plan set that we put together is 35 sheets. We've gone through extensive work. Part of the delay in the it's really different, the project now from the 2016 proposal, where the 2016 proposal was to rehab the non-permitted octagon house. I've been involved in the project for about 3.5 years now, and through a very numerous complex items we worked through, and you know, and so on. For the most part, I can answer your questions, but you know, what we tried to do, first of all, the project is conforming in all aspects, which is always good. And also we tried to minimize the impacts of the project as well. That's why we are citing the home in the same location that the home that was destroyed in 1985 by the fire. And actually got to the point where we're the rotation and all of that. Originally, the project could have been a CDX, whereas we could have gone through the process and gone right to building if we stayed with the home that was going to be, you know, 10% larger than, you know, up to 10% larger than the original project. This is the primary home for the owners and will be in future for, you know, in perpetuity for the family. And it's a wonderful site. The siting also is clustered, so all the development is in one area. So the home is used as the central point of between the barns and the other areas. There are actually 2 turnarounds on the site for fire, where the octagon house and you know, just before you get up to the future home site, a fire engine can turn around at that location as well. That's all weather gravel. The driveway actually is existing, as well as the turnaround that's been utilized. We have some aerials dating back to the 40s and 50s showing additional, you know, farm, you know, buildings and stuff. That's when I believe the pond was created, you know, and the grading and such, you know, for the farm animals and all that. It was, you know, back to when the site was originally built. My understanding is we did a rehab of one of the barns that was, you know, dilapidated and falling down. We got a building permit for that. That these were originally built probably somewhere in the 20s. It's a pole structure, and we improved that, the one barn. The owner actually milled the lumber himself. We put shear walls in and he milled his own lumber. It's amazing, amazing. And so with that, you know, I can answer all the questions about the well, septic. We tried to minimize the amount of grading. We didn't want a lot of grading. So 340, we have the basement, the unfinished basement is actually sited so that we can have natural light with some windows into the basement area itself, as well as access, so you can actually walk out the western side of the basement onto the ground and, you know, an exit from that point. As well as you see, we went to great lengths on the elevations as well, but the core of the building, there's a central core staircase that leads to each floor. Over that, and then the master suite is upstairs. And with that, I'll be happy to answer any of your questions.
Thank you. Commissioner Ketchum, question?
No, thank you.
Commissioner Hanson?
So what type of stone is used in the fireplace?
I'm sorry, what kind of stone?
Yeah.
Well, we're discussing either river cobbles like shown, or a veneer with river cobbles for weight purposes.
Okay. I love the design of the fireplace because it sweeps up and things like that. My observation, and only take this as my observation, not a recommendation or well, my personal recommendation, not a commission recommendation, is that it is such a dominant feature when you use river stone, the rounded stones, unless you have somebody who's really expert at placing it, it kind of looks like it's going to fall at you because your eyes see the roundness, expects the stone to come out. Using a faceted face stone adds a base and makes it look like you're building up, and it looks like it won't fall on you. You know, having a nice fireplace and such a dominant feature, you know, you'll keep looking at it and say, maybe I'll take a step back. You know, you'll just do it unconsciously. And that's my recommendation. And take it for no more than that.
Like I mentioned, one of the fireplace is sitting on the mat slab of the basement foundation.
Mhm.
So there's a 1 foot thick mat slab for the whole, you know, structure. And then that sits on top of it.
Yeah.
And then we were talking about a veneer that they have a number of really nice veneers that you can use that don't have a lot of weight for seismic issues and other things like that as well. So, and of course, we don't want it to fall.
I mean, fireplaces will be gone in the future and probably be even outlawed, but take advantage while you have it, because humans have a human long-term relation with fire and we love it.
I think in the country, trying to make the farmhouse like a true farmhouse with a grand
Yeah.
fireplace, and you know, that's, you know, for me, when I do designs like that, I grew up building homes in Woodside, and those are the type of things that, you know, you always build it the way you would like it, like you were living there. Of course, the owner, you know, they want to pick
That's
out
right.
what they want,
It
but
should have what they need,
Yeah.
what they wish.
style.
Okay, no more questions.
Commissioner Serrano,
No questions for me.
Commissioner Ramirez?
No questions, just to say that it's a great design. Thank you.
So how long has the new owner owned this property?
Over 7 years, they've been trying to permit this for that period of time.
Okay, I think they sent a letter, right, saying some years, right? You're right. And the unpermitted residence was built before they acquired it?
Yes.
Before, okay. And that would be taken down completely?
Yes.
Okay. So these, the structures that will stay there, which are already there, are, there are some barns on there?
There are 3 barns.
Okay,
And then there's a kind of a mechanic, carport, machine shop, you know, for riding, you're working on the tractors and all of that for
Okay,
the ranch.
okay. And according to the drawings, they are all kind of together,
That's correct.
clustered
Yeah, they're
together.
clustered.
Oh, okay. So, other than the grazing area and all these structures plus the residence, is there any other activity that takes place on the property?
Well, there's grazing and some minor agriculture, for the family. But yeah, that's about it
That's
right
about
there.
it. Okay. Just curiosity, for grazing, is there something that owners have to do to grow something for the cattle to graze?
Well, there is some light fertilization that I'm aware of, but for the most part, they're watering and then they would reseed in the lower areas where the irrigation system is. They use the pond and also the pool. The pool stores about 20,000 gallons of water. So they use that and with the pond to irrigate the lower areas of the pasture. And then they reseed it, I think with alfalfa, isn't it? Okay. Oh, and that's the prime, grazing area, so they don't have to feed it hay, the cattle hay and such.
Okay, okay. So is there any particular kind of cattle that comes there for grazing or?
They have a
Just-
lease agreement with cattle, a rancher.
Mhm.
And so, those are his. We did with the new lease agreement in there, it shows, the quantity. So they stay within a certain limit so they don't overburden the land
Okay,
and stuff.
okay. Okay. These are just questions that I want to know for my own knowledge.
Yeah, that's fine.
Right, because I did not grow up on a farm, so I
I was a
don't know.
visitor.
Right. Thank you. Okay. So that is all I have. It looks good. So
Thank you very much.
thank you. So I'll open it up for public speaking, speakers at this time. Do we have any public speakers?
We do not have any public speakers online. And yeah, actually one, hold on, in the chambers.
Okay.
Paul McGregor, 19480 Carrillo Highway, San Gregorio. You had a question about the wells as far as what do they produce? I'm directly across the canyon from them, and my well currently produces 7 gallons per minute, even with the drought that we've been going through. So I'm hoping if I pump test it again, I'm going to get more. As far as the house goes, it's a country style home and it really blends well. I like all the porches, the fireplaces, and where he's put it, he's going to have some nice views. A lot of the cattle that usually run is most of the times it's dry farmed. So right now it's the greenest this is going to get for a while, and then the cattle do their thing. But fortunately for him, he's got area that he can irrigate and be able to grow more oat hay and so forth. So I support the Baker's project. They've waited a long time to get this project at this point in time to get this development through. Great place to raise a family. And a great place to continue the agricultural process with cattle farming and so forth. As a neighbor across the canyon, I can see his property very clearly. Sometimes I even spy on it with my telescope. He maintains the property very well. In fact, when we had the fire a couple of years back, I could see the flames coming up over the top of the hill from my property. And his property was untouched, which is very important. They're good stewards of the land, and I fully support their project. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other speakers? Seeing none.
So seeing no more public speakers, I would like to close the public hearing. Any comments from our director?
No.
Did you want to add anything? Okay, so I open it up for the deliberations of our commissioners.
Well, I like the design. I like the project. I like how you use the existing footprint. There's everything to like about this. So I will be supporting this.
Commissioner Ketchum,
I'm in full support.
Commissioner Serrano Kwan,
Me as well.
Commissioner Ramirez.
Yep, full support.
Looks like a good project. Wish them well.
So
Do
I'd
I
like to
have
make
a
a motion
Go ahead.
that the planning commission approve the coastal development permit, the planned agricultural district permit, and the grading permit for county file number PLN 2016-515 by making the required findings and adopting the conditions of approval in attachment A.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Hanson,
Aye.
Commissioner Ramirez,
Aye.
Commissioner Ketchum,
Aye.
Commissioner Serrano Kwan,
Aye.
Chair Gupta.
Aye,
Thank you. Item passes.
Congratulations.
congratulations. So we move on to correspondence and other matters.
Yes, thank you, Chair Gupta. The only correspondence we received was with regard to the matters you've heard today, and so no additional correspondence to report.
Please keep going.
Yeah, sure. So with regard to the next meeting, we are planning a study session to be led by Commissioner Ketchum regarding mid-coast shoreline erosion and armoring. So I look forward to that. In addition to that study session item, we've got 3 additional items. We've got a resource management permit for a new home along Skyline Boulevard. We've got a design review and grading permit for a new home in Devonshire. And we also have a coastal development permit for a fire clearance project in Quarry Park.
I would like to inform everybody I will be in Istanbul for the next meeting. So I will not be able to attend because of new regulations.
Okay. We wish you a good trip. So with regard to the director's report, a couple updates with regard to the AmeriGas site. We have been in contact with the realtor. We've got preliminary agreement from the property owner to clear the site of the existing fence and facilities that are out there. And we're working on scheduling a meeting to discuss the specifics of that. With regard to the Moss Beach Chevron station, we received a resubmittal of the plans to address comments regarding the need for directional signage. We've received that and we are waiting for sign off by Caltrans to address that issue. That permit should be ready to issue soon. At the Board of Supervisors yesterday, the board approved a contract with Nelson Nygaard to develop the Mid-Coast Transportation Demand Management Plan. So you'll be hearing more about that in the upcoming months. And other items that will be forthcoming to the Board of Supervisors include contracts to develop an update to our safety element, contract to develop a new element of our general plan called the environmental justice element. And then also the board will be hearing an appeal of the Sequoia Track subdivision previously approved by this commission. Finally, as you know, we submitted our housing element to the state. We are due to receive their comments any day now. Depending on the significance of the changes that they are requesting, it may need to come back to the Planning Commission before being considered by the Board of Supervisors. We won't know until we get the comments from HCD, and I'll keep you posted on when we receive them and what those comments contain. And that concludes my report for today. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Thank you, Director Manovich. Commissioner Ketchum.
Oh, just a question, the Quarry Park item on the agenda, is that include the fire road, the new fire road as well?
That's my understanding.
Thank you.
Commissioner Hans, please. Any more questions?
No question.
I would just like to add that I'm really pleased and appreciative how quickly all the presentations were added to last meeting that we had. Thank you, Janet, and the staff members, whoever helped her with that. It's very helpful to me to have all those there, because I filed those for myself for the next year's long-range planning meeting. So thank you.
Well, thank you for saying that, and thanks to Bharat, who's here today.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Very nice to meet you. Okay. So if there's nothing else, meeting is adjourned.